Clerk and Next.js just got even better. With the Edge middleware, Clerk can now provide authentication and authorization at lightning speeds. In this video, I'm going to show you a short demo of Edge in action and the code behind. If you're interested in the demo, there'll be a link in the description where you can check it out for yourself. Welcome to Authentication at the Edge with Clerk and Next.js in a demo. In this demo, I'm going to show you the two different strategies that you can use with Clerk and use on the Edge. So we have Stateless, which uses short-lived JWTs and makes it lightning fast. Then we have Stateful, which uses an API to authenticate the user. This adds a little bit of network latency, but enables sessions to be revoked immediately if needed. I'm also going to show you how Stateless is done right with Clerk. So, short-lived JWTs, as I explained, they last 60 seconds and they're automatically refreshed using the Next.js SDK, which allows you to not have to worry about whether or not they're expired and work on the more important things about your application. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to revoke a session. So if you've got another session on another machine and you need it to be revoked for some reason, you can also handle that with Clerk now. But let's talk about how fast using authentication on the Edge is. So the first thing I'm going to do is sign into my GitHub account. And once I'm signed in, you'll see immediately a JWT was issued and it has the date and the time and when it will expire based upon the information. So first we're going to try Stateful, which may be the part that you're already familiar with Clerk. And you should see an authentication speed, the response time, and what region we're using. For try it now, authentication is 149 milliseconds, and the response time for the total thing, 275 milliseconds, which is still incredibly fast. But versus a stateless, when you click this try, authentication is less than a millisecond, and the response time is 250 milliseconds. If we try it again, all the way down to 59 milliseconds, which when you've got hundreds and thousands of people logging into your application, it's super fast. So with the Edge, there's a difference in the way that your application responds to people around the world. Now, in this example, currently, if this was deployed and not on the Edge, it would serve everything from Washington, D.C. But with the Edge, it will respond based upon the region that you're in. So for example, if we were in the London, UK, or in Japan, it would respond based upon that with the closest server available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into a VPN and set my location to London, and let's look at what difference happens when we try and use either the stateful or the stateless requests. So here I am, I have logged into my VPN, I have set myself to the London, UK. What we're going to do is we're going to attempt to run both the stateful and the stateless and see what the response region is. Now bear in mind the response times are probably going to be a little bit skewed because I'm going all the way from America to London and then back to America. So let's take a look and see what happens. As you can see now, the response region has set itself to London, UK, which means that if you're in London, you're going to get responses directly from that server instead of having to do the travel time between London and the United States. And the same for stateless, you can see, still a millisecond for authentication and a response time of only 176 milliseconds. Now let's talk about these JWTs. So they're short-lived and they only last 60 seconds. So this will allow you to essentially revoke the JWT if an attacker or a middleman or somebody has logged into an account they don't own. So this makes it super awesome for you to be able to handle JWTs without actually having to worry about it. So in some cases, you may need to revoke a session. For example, if somebody is logged in on two different accounts and you need to revoke a session for some reason, you can do that with Clerk. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. So as you can see, I have logged into both a Chrome browser and an Edge browser. This Chrome browser shows a session with this device as the session 1 with Chrome, Windows 10, and the desktop. And then on the right hand side, you can see session 1, we have the option to revoke. and then it tells us about our current session on this device, which is an Edge browser. So I'm going to revoke the Edge browser, and I'm going to speed it up, and you're going to see exactly what happens when the JWT tries to renew. So as you can see, immediately as it went to renew the JWT before it expired, it signed us out because we've been revoked on this machine, and the user would have to sign in again on that secondary device, or you've now protected your application from somebody that's managed to log in when they shouldn't be. So now I've demoed it, let's talk about the code behind the scenes. So welcome to the Edge demo code. So in here, I'm going to show you the differences between stateful and stateless, as well as how much changes, if any, there are between using this on the Edge and not. So here we have the app.js, and it looks exactly the same as any other Clerk application you've used before. You just wrap the whole thing in a Clerk provider, and this will give you access to sign in, sign up, user management, require sessions, use sessions, all the things that you're used to. So the way that the two strategies are currently working is we have these paths, API stateful and then API stateless. So let's start with the stateless one. So inside of this middleware, because we're using those short-lived JWTs, it's lightning fast, and all we have to do is respond back with the session. So there's no requirement for you to go out to the network and then come back, which makes it perfect if you need that. Then we have the stateful version, which actually happens is it goes out and verifies this on the network and makes sure that it hasn't been revoked in the last minute. So if you imagine these JWTs last 60 seconds, and that's why it's so fast, but maybe someone revoked it in those 60 seconds, and you can go out to the network and verify that. So if 60 seconds is too long for you, you can use this verify with network, and it will respond if they can't verify that the code is actually valid at this time. So you're probably wondering like, oh, this must take a lot to set up. But no, Clerk is taking care of all of that for you, and Vercel has taken care of the Edge part. So between the two of them, they can support all these regions here. We've got Sweden, India, USA, Brazil, Germany, Ireland, Japan. So if your app is deployed, you can essentially support all of these places with lightning fast, millisecond responses for authentication. So there we have it. Authentication on the Edge using Clerk and Next.js. We're super excited that this feature is now available, so make sure you check a link in the description to check out the demo and start using it today.